Alright, I'm sure you all know the drill by now. The latest episode of The Last of Us dropped, and today we're going to be discussing and dissecting what makes this entry so special. Oh, and as I stated in my previous video, I was totally right. That was the bloater we saw under there. Yeah, spoiler warning for all those that haven't watched this episode. To be honest, I'm jealous of whoever got to see this installment for the first time without any prior knowledge of the events that had taken place in the game. Henry and Sam's death had much more emotional weight in this iteration of events, and this is coming from someone who didn't pick the game back up for a week when the two died there. Today, we're going to be discussing just why it is that this emotional build-up was so much more effective in the show as compared to the game. The show is able to show the perspective of many side characters that had previously been relegated to a linear story. This new element of being able to witness events play out in the past for all these people we meet allows us to establish a greater and deeper bond with them. This has already occurred with Sarah, Bill, and Frank, so it's no surprise that the writers opted for the same route in storytelling with Henry and Sam as well. Witnessing the struggles that the two faced only made us feel more connected to them, and Henry's willingness to open up to Joel about his role in Kansas City and the things he did to protect his little brother also went a long way in building the relationship between Henry and Joel, not just the audience. That's just the first reason as to why the ending hits as hard as it does. Let's move on to the next, shall we? We also got to spend just a lot more time with Henry and Sam. They had been hinted at all the way back in episode 4, and alongside the beginning 15 minutes of episode 5, the ability to get used to them just being around Joel and Ellie was much more defined than in the game. Not just that, but for those that didn't know what was about to happen near the end, scenes where Henry and Sam were put in precariously dangerous situations really instilled a sense of fear into all the viewers witnessing the events play out. Think back to when Henry stepped out into the open in front of Kathleen, or when the two were trapped under the car. By those points, HBO had already conditioned us to understand how this was a cruel world. And I wholeheartedly believe that newer observers must have thought that this was where either one of them would have bit the bullet. Having said that, it's time we get into the most heart-wrenching technique the writers used to create a greater impact with Sam's inevitable infection: the concept of hope. When Sam lifted his jeans up to reveal the bite, those uninitiated with the original story didn't know how to feel. There was the initial shock and sadness, of course, but then Ellie, in her desperation, comforted Sam with imparting a secret of her own: her immunity. After applying her own blood to Sam's wound, the two shared a hug and a promise. The wholesomeness of the scene and Ellie's confidence in her cure made it genuinely seem like everything was going to be alright. That the two were going to stay up for the rest of the night, and this would be the start to Ellie curing all of humanity.
New day, new start.
Little did we know, Henry's enthusiasm for the new day was going to go to waste. And little do we know, Sam's fate is just a glimpse at how the ending is going to play out, at how the world of The Last of Us is going to be robbed of its hope, just how Sam might have been when he witnessed Ellie fall asleep. If you enjoyed this video, please do consider subscribing and leaving a comment down below. I love whatever you guys have to say regarding any of the topics I cover in my videos. In the meantime though, here are 2 videos that YouTube thinks that you'd enjoy. Give them a shot. I bet you won't be disappointed. Until next time, this has been Vexodus, and see ya.